started. Lima.
Yeah.
What's up, Live Squad? Welcome back to another ComboLG Podcast. Meeting Starburst. I'm your host, Avengers. Alongside us is our host, Lima.
What's up, guys? Sorry we couldn't get you the podcast last week I mean, it was just power rankings were coming out and stuff like that, so
really busy, really tired.
All right, we're back at it this week though, and it was a pretty good week. A couple close games, but here starting off, as you can see, this one wasn't so close. But all right, so as you can see, Browns 35, Steelers nothing. This game wasn't like too far apart yardage wise, but as you could see, he only had one turnover, the Browns did, and the Steelers had two, and he did outgain him on offense as well.
It's not even a thing of he had too many turnovers to where he couldn't win. It just looks like he could not move the ball at all.
Yeah.
But of course, we're going to player stats. Sean Kaiser, 85 yards, 2 sacks. Big Ben, 142 yards, 2 interceptions, sacked 6 times.
And then going into rushing, you see Isaiah Crowell with a pretty good game. 24 attempts, 155 yards, 2 touchdowns, but he did have a fumble. And then leading the Steelers was Le'Veon Bell, 18 attempts for 53 yards.
In the receiving game, not much, but there was some. Martavis Bryant actually doing really well in real life and in the game. I like him. He's a good receiver. 3 receptions, 52 yards for Pittsburgh. And for Cleveland, Zachary Nickerson, rookie out of Ole Miss, 3 receptions for 43 yards.
Alright, then going on to the defense. Sacks, not a surprise here, obviously. Myles Garrett leading the game, 3 sacks for the Browns. And then Stephon Tuitt had 1 for the Steelers.
And Tyson Aluwalu. Yeah. And interceptions, Christian Kirksey and Christopher Kendall, rookie out of Colorado, both having a pick.
Forced fumbles, there was 1 forced fumble and 1 recovery by Mike Mitchell, and the forced fumble was Shazier.
Defensive touchdowns, Christian Kirksey and Christopher Kendall both having pick sixes in the game. So good job to the Browns. Kick return, punt return, either. Congratulations to the Browns for a win, especially a divisional win like this.
Yeah, and I think that division is still close. Steelers probably fall to, I think, 2 back from the Browns now, but the Browns started off pretty bad, so his record still isn't the best from that. But good luck to both of them the remainder of the season. Next here we got a division game with the Colts and the Titans, and that was as you can see, Avengers won that one 37-13, and pretty much dominating this game. 356 total yards compared to 184, 1 turnover compared to 7 from the Colts, and a red zone percentage, neither were perfect, but 80% from Titans, 50% from the Colts. And then I guess let's go into passing. As you can see, Mariota 249 yards, a touchdown and interception, and he was sacked 4 times. And then Andrew Luck throwing 6 interceptions. He threw for 116 yards and he was sacked twice. And then in rushing, you see Marcus Mariota was the leader from the Titans, 6 attempts, 64 yards. And then from the Colts, it was Philip Dorsett, the wide receiver, who led 2 attempts, 26 yards. Then going into receiving, you see Taywan Taylor led the Titans, 3 receptions for 93 yards and a touchdown. And then Tyrell Williams led the Colts, 2 receptions for 61 yards.
Don't forget, he was recently acquired this week from the Chargers. Chargers?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
No. Jags?
Yeah, it was the Jags. Sorry, I don't know why we thought Chargers. Anyways, going into the defensive side, you see sacks. The rookie Carlton Hampton led the Colts with 3.5, and then Michael Bennett and Daquan Jones each tied with 1 from the Titans. And then interceptions, as you can see, there were a lot here. Logan Ryan, Avery Williamson, Robert Alford, Telvin Smith, Jeremy Cash, TJ Green, Jayon Brown, and Adoree Jackson. And apparently Alford didn't get that interception. There was a mix-up. I think it was because he was traded after the game, probably.
Maybe, because as y'all can see, I only threw 1 interception.
Yeah.
2 here. I remember the TJ Green one, because I wasn't really paying attention anymore. Sorry.
Alright, so forced fumbles. Jonathan Cyprien had 1, and there was a recovery, and it was by Jayon Brown. Defensive touchdowns, there were 3. 1 by TJ Green, 1 by Logan Ryan, and 1 by Jeremy Cash. No kick returns or punt returns. So that was it from there. Good job to you. And then
our division's been close. That win helped me. It pushed me to the second, but still tied with the Colts, and only one game behind the
yeah, but as you can see, we got another division game right here with the Saints and the Panthers, and this one was actually surprisingly close.
I watched part of this game, and New Orleans was having a comeback. It just did not happen at the end, but he had a comeback in the end.
As you can see, he did lead in total yards gained, and they each only had 1 turnover.
Red zone. It says that the Saints never got in the red zone. Time of possession, the Panthers did own for 7 more minutes. It says pretty much 7 more. But of course, player stats. Blaine Gabbert still in there for the injured Drew Brees is 257 yards, 2 touchdowns, only sacked once. Pretty good game for him. And
yeah.
Cam Newton, 152 yards, 1 interception, sacked 3 times.
And then going into rushing, you see Christian McCaffrey led the Panthers, 18 attempts, 141 yards, a touchdown, and he did have a fumble. And then
He's been
Alvin,
having a lot of fumbles lately.
Yeah, he hasn't been his usual self. And then Alvin Kamara, 10 attempts, 60 yards for the Saints.
In receiving, though, leading in for Alvin Kamara, actually leading the Saints, 3 receptions, 128 yards, and a touchdown. And Kelvin Benjamin for the Panthers, 5 receptions, 76 yards.
Going on to the defensive side, you could see sacks. DeMarcus Lawrence, Nick Fairley, Cameron Jordan, and Luke Kuechly each had 1 sack.
And interceptions, Stephon Stokes, 1 rookie out of Oklahoma State with 1 interception on the game.
Yeah, and then as you can see, there were 3 forced fumbles. Nick Fairley, Luke Kuechly, and Todd Davis. And then Kurt Coleman from the Panthers did have 1 of the recoveries.
Defensive touchdowns by Stephon Stokes. So really not bad for him. But of course, congratulations to the Panthers. Good win, but good luck to both y'all. Really good game. Hope the rest of y'all season goes just as well. But of course, we have another divisional game. Played 6 times though, but it was the Cowboys and the Redskins. Cowboys winning 45-13, won on all aspects. Not turnovers, both sides having 4, but Cowboys winning on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, and then alright, so going into player stats, you see Alex Smith, 325 pass yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, not sacked at all. And then Kirk Cousins, 170 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and was sacked 3 times.
In the rushing game, Zeke having 22 rushes, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a fumble. And Ty Montgomery, one of his worst games this season yet, for 18 rushes and 37 yards, 2.1 yards.
Alright, so going into receiving, you see Xander Razik from the Cowboys was the leading receiver, 5 receptions for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. And then Vernon Davis led the Redskins, 2 receptions, 83 yards.
defensively for sacks, Taco Charlton, Malik Collins, and David Irvin having 3 sacks.
And then going into interceptions, you see Byron Jones and Trayvon McLaughlin were the leaders from each team, each having 2 interceptions.
Forced fumbles, though, there is 2. Josh Norman and Jonathan Allen, and only 1 recovery by Josh Norman.
And no defensive touchdowns. That's kind of surprised with all those interceptions thrown.
Neither. At all. Congratulations, Cowboys. Good luck to the season. Next, though, we do have your game, 49ers versus Raiders, 17-3. Niners winning on offensive yards gained, having a real big rush game. Kind of balanced for you, but turnover, you had no turnovers and you had 2.
Yeah, it didn't matter though because I couldn't really move the ball. I knew I wasn't gonna be able to going in the game, but he brought his A game definitely.
All right. Player stats: passing, Derek Carr, 141 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, sacked 4 times. CJ Bedard, 41 yards, 2 interceptions, sacked once. In the rushing game, Joe Williams, 17 rushing for 164 yards, 9.6 average, 2 touchdowns. Johnny Speed, look out of Bowling Green State, 22 rushes for 47 yards, 2.8 average. In the receiving game, though, rookie Raphael Pittman, look out of Nebraska, 3 receptions and 5 yards, leading the entire game by a mile. And for the 49ers, George Kittle, 2 receptions, 4.6 yards. We come to defensive, though. QB sacks. Solomon Thomas having a really good game, 3. Jarrell Casey having a lone sack, 4 for the Oakland Raiders. In interceptions, though, Sean Smith and Garyon Conley each having 1 interception. Forced fumbles, none. Actually, that's really surprising, especially with the hit power you have on your team. And for defensive touchdowns, none on that side, either kick return or punt return, either. Oh, congratulations to the 49ers. Good luck. Since, yes, guys, that means we have no undefeated people left in the league. Everybody has taken 1 loss at least. So, good luck to everybody for the rest of the season. But of course, we come to a big game. Falcons versus Buccaneers, 87-12.
Yeah, and after the game, we did learn that the Buccaneers did not finish this one. He was only able to play parts of the first quarter, and he had some family emergency come up, so he did have to leave. So I mean, obviously, it's pretty obvious. So 87-12, you know that Blake Deshaun is better than that. So that's. But we'll still look at the stats. So anyways.
Yeah, player stats though. Johnny Manziel, rookie out of Texas A&M.
Okay. That's
Hardy Manziel back in the league, guys. 260 yards, 5 touchdowns, sacks 0 time. Jameis Winston, 138 yards, 6 interceptions, sacks 10 times.
Alright, so going into rushing, you see Tevin Coleman, 19 attempts, 202 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And then Devin Stroder, rookie out of Miami, 4 rushes for 119 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a fumble.
I still think it's a pretty good game, 29.8 average.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. He just had a long run in there.
Oh, it doesn't, yeah. Yeah, it doesn't 84 yards. In the receiving game, though, leading receiver is, of course, leader doing 4 receptions instead of yards and 2 touchdowns. Tampa Bay, Mike Evans, 2 receptions and 2 yards.
Alright, so going over to defense, there were a lot of sacks in this one, but Tack McKinley led this one for the Falcons with 2.5, and then, as you could see, a lot more people got sacks.
Interceptions. See, Ricardo Allen. What? Oh no, that's someone else I'm thinking for. Ricardo Allen with 2 interceptions. And of course, as you can see, a lot more people having 1. Bet you anything, Ricardo Allen.
Okay. There were a lot of forced fumbles in this one. And only 2 recoveries though. So the rest of them the offense kept, it looks like. But anyways, going to touchdowns, you see Tack McKinley. It looks like that was a fumble 6. Yeah, because he didn't have an interception. And then Ricardo Allen with the pick 6.
Kick return, none. Punt return, none. Still, congratulations to the Falcons. It's still a win. It's still a win. And then, of course, we cannot take away this last game, Packers and Vikings, from the new Vikings user, but we can't also say it was not a loss by Finesse God. We now have a new Packers user as Finesse God. So this was for our past Packers user. Really, if you look at stat-wise, it really wasn't. These points don't make sense. It says 47-14, but it says Minnesota only scored 26.
Where does it say that?
Am I in the wrong game? No, I'm thinking week 9. Packers versus Vikings, right? Box. If you look at the box score, it says it was 47-14, but it says the first, second, third quarter they scored 26 points.
Oh, I don't know. It was just a minute error.
Extra 21 came back. 21
yeah.
points. But of course, we can't take this away from the Vikings. The Vikings had a really good game. Yeah, Vikings had a really good game here. Player stats though: Teddy Bridgewater 287 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, sacked twice. Aaron Rodgers 298 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, sacked 11 times. God, there's gonna be a lot of sacks to count again.
Oh yeah. Alright, so going to rushing, not too much there. Dalvin Cook, 17 attempts, 57 yards for 2 touchdowns. And then Jalen Peters, the rookie out of Clemson, led the Packers with 3 attempts for 18 yards.
In receiving, though, leading receiver was Steve Smith Jr. Rookie out in New Mexico, 4 receptions, 163 yards, 3 touchdowns. And for Green Bay was another rookie, Will McFarland, rookie out of Liberty. Rookie out of Liberty. Liberty, guys. I'll see that. That is definitely not college UC pro football. Liberty.
True. Alright, so going on to defense, as we already knew, there were a lot of sacks here, but Anthony Barr actually led with 3 sacks. That's kind of a surprise because most people don't use Anthony Barr as a pass rusher, so maybe he was blitzing a lot. But
cornerback having blitzes too.
Yeah. And then William Hayes led the Packers with 1.5 sacks. Interceptions here,
Games, Ray Lewis Jr. guys. Rookie out of Nebraska. Harrison Smith and Xavier Rhodes. Ray Lewis Jr. Does that mean we have some else?
Alright, so forced fumbles, you see Sharif Floyd and Linval Joseph each having 1. No fumble recoveries. Defensive touchdowns. No.
See that? Oh, there was a kick return.
Yeah, Steve Smith Jr. had that one.
Passing, there's 3. That's 21. Rushing 2. Okay, so we did have that amount. Just glitching out, guys.
It was probably maybe had to do with the fact that the Packers conceded, so.
Oh yeah.
Could have just messed the game. That's why we just even though conceding sometimes saves game stats, there is the risk of the stats not being saved. So that's why we have the rule set up the way it is. If you quit or concede, it's still an automatic boot.
But congratulations to everybody who won in week 9. We are on to week 10. Of course, game of the week, guys. It's a big game, big divisional game, because their division has been close this entire season. And that is, of course, is the Broncos at the Chiefs. It's a big game. two highly talented rushing games on the line here, just like the Cardinals and the Chiefs earlier this season. Okay, we all know what this is. Defense, offense, which position are you thinking of? Or which side of the ball, which position, like we always do? We pick one position or we pick a whole side of the ball?
Yeah, honestly, we say this a lot, but it's going to come down to rushing again, and if either defense could stop it, because we know Broncos has a great rushing game, and Chiefs has really shown his ability to rush the ball lately pretty well too. So it's going to come down to whoever's defense can stop the run, and also meeting whoever can run the ball better. But
we all know either side likes to pass the ball because they pass the ball. You only see like 20 to 30 yards at most from each side. Anymore, they usually throw picks and they usually cost them the game. So we know they're not going to really throw the ball unless forced to, and even then they're going to be really, really safe with throwing that ball, not forcing anything. So it does come down to that. And of course, we got two amazing rushers in Von Miller and Justin Houston. Some people try to compare them and say which one's better, but in this game, who do you think is going to do the most work?
It really, I mean, I don't think either of them are really going to pass that much, so I don't really think either pass rusher will have a sack.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter about sacks. We've seen Von Miller stop the run. We've seen Justin Houston stop the run.
But they both are a little more pass rushers than run stoppers, but
they have the ability. But we know it's defense, we know it's rushing, but it comes down to who we think is going to have the upper hand in this game. And I'm going to have to say your boy. The Broncos has shown to pound the rock even when there's nothing there. And somehow that offensive line gives him the time to rush that ball. And I really have to go with the Broncos this week.
Yeah.
I think he's coming out for trying to catch up to you, trying to take the division. And this is his step by taking out the Chiefs.
Yeah, I agree that the Broncos has the slight upper hand in this one, and for kind of the same reason that, like, even if you think you shut down his run game, he still somehow gets a lot, like, he'll break one and it'll go for a touchdown, and it'll completely change the game. So, I mean, and his defense is good enough that that one rushing touchdown that he gets on offense might just win him the game. So that's the only reason I say, I'm not saying Chiefs can't break a long one, but I'm saying if you think you've got the Broncos run game stopped, just when you think you've got it contained and stopped, he'll break a long one for a touchdown on you.
And that's what I'm saying. It's going to be a really, really, really close game. There's no way it's not going to be a close game this week.
Yeah. All right.
We go, though, to the final, well, not the final thing that I have to say, but final thing for this podcast, and that is Players of the Week. Of course, every week we look at Players of the Week, who did the best for that week. Some people we have seen multiple times this season, then we've seen some new people. We've seen some new people step up and have a really great game, and right here in Week 9, NFC offensive and defensive, both Falcons, and AFC offense and defensive, both Browns. Tevin Coleman, Ricardo Allen, Isaiah Crowell, Christian Kirksey. Did they deserve this? I think so.
Yeah, I mean both put up a lot of points. Not, I mean, obviously Falcons put up a lot of points, but both put up a lot of points. And both defenses played really well too, so it's not a surprise that the Player of the Week came from only two teams.
Definitely, and the rushing game had a big impact, of course, for both the Falcons and the Browns. Isaiah Crowell, Tevin Coleman, been amazing rushers the past two seasons. We have one thing to talk about though, and that is the Falcons' overabundance of running backs now. He has four or three decent running backs on his team.
I know he's got Coleman, Henry, and does he have Yeldon? Or
don't
did
know if
that
he
trade
traded
not go
Yeldon.
through? I don't think
I
that
don't
trade
know.
went through.
Either he has Yeldon still, or he has
Just a little
Freeman
check.
still.
He doesn't
And-
have Freeman anymore. Freeman went to the Colts.
Okay. Freeman. Oh yeah, the Freeman is on the Colts. So he has 3. Do you think that's a little too much? Because they're not
No.
gonna all get equal carries.
No, it
Now, you got Tony
never. That'll never be too much because if he puts one guy in, that guy gets tired, bring the next guy in, and each running back is a different type of back, so he can have different running backs for different situations. Well, let's
Devin
go check
Coleman,
here.
of course, is speed. Derrick Henry is great at power. He's a great power back at trucking. But what would TJ Yeldon?
He doesn't have
team?
Yeldon actually. He just has Coleman and Henry.
Oh, he got rid of Yeldon. Well, he did have
Yeah.
4 guys. And that was Freeman, Coleman, Henry, and Yeldon. A lot of running backs, and like you said, they're all different styles. But, oof. But congratulations to everybody. Good luck. We are in week 10, guys. That means there are, if you count this week, there are 8 weeks left before playoffs, getting down to the wire. It's anybody's chance. Anybody can still take a division if they try hard enough. But of course, if y'all did enjoy this, hit that like button. If y'all are new or returning to the show, the subscribe button. We really appreciate it. Hit the bell to know when we are going live or we have posted a video on the channel. And of course, we will see you next time on a ComboLG Podcast. I'm your host, Ben.
Alright guys, see you next week.